Let's talk puff embroidery. Puff embroidery is also known as 3D embroidery. It is a technique where foam is placed underneath the stitches to give it a 3D or a raised textured look. It's often seen on hats and visors and jackets, but it can also be done on any type of garment, like a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. Preparation. First, you need a design that is made specifically for puff embroidery. You cannot use just any fine or any file you find online to use for puff embroidery. It has to be specifically digitized for puff embroidery. One tip is that the flat stitches need to be stitched first, and then your puff stitches will go on top of that. You need to make sure that it is a dense stitch out. That way it can give that desired 3D effect over the foam. The supplies that we need to achieve this look is we're going to do first our visor. I have to stitch 100 youth visors for our local recreational park, so we're going to get into it. I already stitched 2 of them. This is what it looks like. This is the puff embroidery. So you see it gives that raised off the cap look. So you're gonna need your hat. You're gonna need a frame that is made for hats. So this is the Durkee hat frame. We're gonna use this one. I find it's working better than my PR 655 cap frame. I'm having some troubles getting it low enough. So anyway, that's another story. So you wanna have a cap frame. Second, you wanna get you some foam. Any foam will work, like if you want to go to your local craft store in a pinch and grab some foam, but it's best to use foam that is made for embroidery. You want it to be at least 2 mm thick and up to 5 mm. For this tutorial, we're going to do 2 mm. Okay, you're going to want a sticky stabilizer or a tearaway stabilizer. Personally, I recommend the sticky stabilizer because it just helps you get that hat situated flat onto the frame, and it gives it a better stitch out rather than having a tearaway moving. It has too much give. But if you're using a cap frame with a driver, tearaway stabilizer, spray some sticky on it and it'll be great. Some temporary adhesive spray like 505. So first thing you want to do with your hat is find the center. I recommend going from the brim and finding your center, because the brim is going to be on your head, and so the center of it, will be right there. All right, so I went ahead and marked my center, and now we're going to get it on the frame. So I have my sticky stabilizer already attached. You're going to want to undo these little screws, and you want to pull back the sweatband as much as you can, especially for visors. You don't want to stitch on that. If you did, then it would make this stuck onto it, and it kind of creases it, and it would crease the design. So you want to pull this as far back as you can. This metal part is going to secure the brim of your hat and or visor. This takes some time, but proper hooping is everything. Sorry guys, I saw my neighbor come over. Okay. So once you got it on, you want to center it in your hoop. And I'm going to apply two pins to better secure it to the stabilizer. Okay, so it looks like this. I put the 2 pins in it, and we're just gonna slide it onto the machine. You wanna go underneath this little clamp here, and you wanna make sure you hear it click in on both sides. You want it clicked into those notches so the frame is stable. And then I just use my laser on my machine to make sure that my design is centered and it's where I want it. You want to make sure that you're not hitting the brim of the hat. That will break a needle. It will off-center your design. It'll really mess everything up. So you want to go as close to the brim as you can, but without hitting the brim. And always double check to make sure that sweatband is still not going to be stitched on. Okay, and we're gonna start stitching. I do recommend slowing your machine down. I never stitch higher on my machine, which is a PR 655, than 800 stitches per minute. But for the hats, I like to go a little bit lower. We're gonna go to 700 for this one. And like I said, we're gonna stitch the flat stitches first. Oh. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna let that stitch and I'll come back for part 2, which is the foam. Okay, that's finished stitching. Let me show you guys what it looks like. So you wanna cut your piece of foam just a little bit bigger than your actual design. You can spray some sticky adhesive behind it. I recommend 505 spray. It's a temporary adhesive spray. Sorry for that. And you just wanna spray it on the back, and you wanna spray it away from your machine. And then you're just going to place it over the design. Okay, so you just place it like this. This digitizer that I used included in this file a tack down stitch for the foam. That isn't always included. It's kind of a little bonus. So you're just gonna let that stitch down. Now it's stitching the satin stitches over the foam, and it's gonna create that raised look. Okay, I just got it off the machine. It should look like this. All you're gonna do is pull the puff away from the design, like that. It comes off so easy. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there are a couple pieces of the foam that are protruding through the threads. That's when you wanna take your heat gun, or like I said, just something kind of sharp, and you just wanna poke at it. And that just pushes the puff foam underneath those threads. This is also important. This is also why it is important to use the same color foam as the thread. That way it's not as noticeable. And you're just gonna poke at that until you get all the foam underneath those threads. Okay, and the markings that I made were with a fusion pen like this, and the ink comes off with heat, so I'm gonna hit it with a small heat press. Okay, this is the finished result. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, just send me a comment or send me a message. Happy stitching!